Usually I cover topics that require pretty detailed research, but today I'm covering a topic that I don't need to research because I've been observing this for 56 years now. If you're black, you've definitely heard of this mythical thing called the black card. It's the phrase that usually comes up when someone black is doing something that the black community disapproves of. Today I'm delving into a topic that I don't think anyone has covered in this much detail. We're going to discuss what this membership gets you and why I don't want it. They're going to kick me out of Wakanda for this one. Welcome to the Rob Lett Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, bring to the stage, on your feet, Rob Lett!
When you embark on the journey of trying to improve your life, one of the quotes you'll undoubtedly come across is the quote, "As a man thinketh, so is he." It's a loose quote taken from the Bible, from the book of Proverbs. What it means in a nutshell is you better pay very close attention to the things that you think, because those thoughts can ultimately shape who you are. Now, everyone's familiar with reading positive books like the Bible or Think and Grow Rich, but what rarely ever gets discussed is all of the things that you also have to unlearn because they weren't even true to begin with. Today, I want to talk about something that I'd classify as social fiction. Everyone talks about it as though it's real, though. It's the black card. I knew the minute that I made the thumbnail for this show that I was going to be talking about something quite controversial, but the bigger question is why? Why is the thumbnail even controversial? It's controversial because in the minds of many black people, they're going to take the thumbnail and my statement as either meaning that I'm ashamed of my skin color or that I want to be a different color, and none of that is true, so please save your little comments in advance. No, this conversation today is a deeper dive behind the so-called black card and what this community every black person belongs to purports to be. Before we dive into this journey, I need to tell you something about me. I'm sure I've mentioned this in the past on my channel before, but many moons ago, I used to be the pro-black dude. I did. I used to listen to the minister Louis Farrakhan. I had his cassette tapes. I had his VHS tapes. I could quote him backwards and forwards. My mother could tell you this. I was even wearing bow ties at one point. What nobody knew is I was even visiting the mosque back in those days. I was deep in it. I wasn't going to change my name or anything like that, but I was there. If there was ever a point in my life where I had a proverbial black card, it was at this point in my life. I'm telling you this for a reason, because it's that memory that reminded me of this appearance of the minister Louis Farrakhan on the Phil Donahue show. I want to make something very clear. My viewpoint back in those days was genuine. I never had malice for white people. I'm talking about myself. I just didn't want to have prejudged malice against me. I remember it like it was yesterday when the minister Louis Farrakhan said this on the Phil Donahue show.
May I say this, sir? What you fear, and it's a deep guilt thing, that white folks suffer, you are afraid that if we ever come to power, we will do to you and your fathers what you and your people have done to us. And I think you are judging us by the state of your own mind, and that is not necessarily the mind of black people.
I felt what he said back then. Understand, I wasn't listening to Farrakhan because I felt black was superior to anybody. Listen to me closely when I say this. I thought then, and continue to think now, that all people who think that their skin and race are superior to others are idiots. Yes, that includes white supremacists, because pride should come from your personal accomplishments, not your skin color. You had nothing to do with that. And it's what eventually made me drop out of that group altogether, because the more I studied, the more I realized they were trying to say that they were superior. And I didn't believe in that. My whole life, I'd heard this phrase being used over and over and over again, that black people just need to come together. And I had come to the conclusion black people would never come together. And it was because of one simple reason I'd never thought of before. We're not a monolithic group. We're individuals. Everyone is an individual. That cause that you think is so important that you need to stop what you're doing right now and march with me, somewhere there's a person saying, dude, that's so low on my list of priorities right now. I have too much going on in my life. I'm going through a divorce. I need a job. I'm about to lose my house. I got a baby on the way. Whatever it is, they have the right to set their own priorities, which don't include your agenda. Well, if everyone's an individual, then on the other side of that aisle are white people, who people are also trying to lump together, but they're individuals too. Maybe just me talking to them without any preconceived notions would give me the opportunity to learn something. And so it was. What worries me about what I'm seeing today is what Farrakhan said was not necessarily the minds of black people is starting to sound more and more and more like the minds of black people, to do the same stupid things white racists did when they were in power. And I'm not talking about just everyday black people on the streets, mind you. I'm not talking about civilians. I'm talking about watching CNN and watching Don Lemon discuss whether or not there should be a white guy ban. I'm talking about people like Joy Reid, who they gave her own show. I'm talking about some of the people in our House of Representatives saying stupid things like this.
Just this past week, I saw, I don't remember which celebrity, but it was actually a celebrity. And I was like, I don't know that that's not necessarily a bad idea, but I'd have to think through it a lot. One of the things that they propose is black folk not have to pay taxes for a certain amount of time, because then again, that puts money back in your pocket. But at the same time, it may not be as objectionable to some people about actually giving out dollars. But obviously then you start dealing with the different tax brackets and things like that. And that's one of the reasons that, you know, we argue the reparations make sense, because so many black folk, not only do you owe for the labor that was stolen and killed and all the other things, right? But
those are the things that have me concerned about today's so-called black community. We seem more divided today than when I was a kid. That's over 50 some odd years ago. It amazes me how some people in the black community don't see themselves as similar to the white supremacists that are so consumed with their skin color. Here's a woman obviously very, very proud of her skin color.
Let me just make this crystal if it can't be clear. If ever I got to be reincarnated, baby, make me black in every lifetime. I don't care if I got to come back as a Black Panther, a black buck, black jack, hell, a black owl, a black bear, black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Baby, black pepper, black eyed peas, a black male. Baby, blacklist me if you got to. Make me the black sheep. I don't give a damn. As long as when I come back, I am black.
Again, with the race pride. Did you accomplish something? What's the fascination for? The same rule applies as far as I'm concerned. I almost went as far as to say that there's no such thing as the black community, but I decided to pull back from going that far because I could see people getting lost in the semantics of this discussion. Instead, I decided to take an honest look at what the black community claims to be, whether explicitly or implied. The first implication is very subtle. It's the implication that there's only one community. I mean, when you say the black community, you're indirectly saying that there isn't another one out there. There's just one. And if you're black, well, you belong to it. Okay, let's set that one aside. The other implication is that we're somehow all unified and in agreement, or that we should be. Another implication is that what affects one of us affects all of us. These were just a few of the implications of what this so-called community represents. Now, I'll probably get pushed back on some of what I said already. If you watch this show, you know my style. I'm not going to say anything without being prepared to back it up. On my last show, I was very critical of the former mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance. She was a horrible mayor, and now she wants to run for governor of the state of Georgia. In that show, I played for you what Keisha Lance said while a mob was fighting with the police, igniting fires in downtown Atlanta and vandalizing the CNN Center. Here's what I posted from Keisha Lance.
So what I see happening on the streets of Atlanta is not Atlanta. This is not a protest. This is not in the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. This is chaos. A protest has purpose. When Dr. King was assassinated, we didn't do this to our city. So if you love this city that has had a legacy of black mayors and black police chiefs and people who care about this city, where more than 50% of the business owners in Metro Atlanta are minority business owners. If you care about this city, then go home. You're not protesting anything running out with brown liquor in your hands, breaking windows in this city. T.I. and Killer Mike own half the West Side. So when you burn down this city, you're burning down our community.
I asked the question on that show, and I'll ask it again in this show. What was Keisha's message exactly now that you listened to it? She just backed up one of my claims about the black community. She's telling the mob that more than 50% of the businesses in Atlanta are black. T.I. and Killer Mike own half the city, and they're black, so go home. You're destroying your own stuff. You're burning down your own stuff. But do the people in the mob own half the city? I'm speculating here, but I feel comfortable enough in saying that they probably don't. It's important to note that Keisha isn't talking about the community in the sense like the neighborhood that you live in. No, she makes it very clear by giving you the statistics regarding their color. It's their color alone that should make you have a bond with, respect, and therefore acknowledge that you and the black community are one. You're the same thing. I've got a million examples of black Democrats doing this. I just wanted to show you one of them. So like I said earlier, the implications of this community is that what affects one of us affects all of us. What one of us have, we all have. We discussed the implications of the black community, but are any of the implications even true? Let's first address the fact that you never explicitly joined this community. So the threat of you being kicked out of a place that you never joined in the first place, it should already let you know that you're the victim of a psyop. A psychological operation being implemented for some purpose that isn't really clear yet. But we know that doesn't make sense, right? I mean, if you never joined it, but you're somehow naturally part of said community, then it should also go without saying that you can't get kicked out, right? Because you're naturally part of this community. So anyone threatening to revoke your membership, revoke your black card, would have to be an absolute idiot. So let's see what's being purported about the black community and whether or not it's even true. One of the implications that I named earlier is that we are all united and in agreement. Or at least that's what they want us to think. But are we? Let me set up this clip for you. There's a dude named Tariq Nasheed. He's one of these guys like Dr. Jimmy 2 times Umar, Al Sharpton, who make their money grifting black people. Anytime there's a grievance or some opportunity to profit from black people's frustrations, he'll find it. He made this movement called the FBA movement, which stands for Foundational Black American Movement. I would explain to you what it means, but I think it will be much more interesting after I play you this clip.
I just called 5 different tire shops, and every last one of them joints was African owned. And all of them identified as a black-owned business. I'm like, when I call up there, I'm like, yeah, I sell tires, Oh, yeah, is the owner black American? No. He's African. No, he's African. And mind you, everybody that picked up the phone was African. All of them had some sort of African accent. So, all I'm saying is, we need to start making some distinctions. If you're a black American business, make sure you put black American owned. If you're a black immigrant business, put black immigrant. Because this whole black owned thing, it's just it's given black American. When you say black owned, you're thinking black American. So I feel like it's a misrepresentation going on. I'm not rocking with this. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling that. So yeah, I called one more. They said the dude that picked up was African, but I asked him if the owner was a black American. He said yeah. So I'm about to go over there and see what they talking about. But this is a little insane.
Now, this woman joined one of Tariq's groups that promised to provide some black-owned businesses that she could patronize. And she's ticked off because every business that she calls, they're not black businesses in her eyes. They're African businesses, and there's a difference. Forget about the fact that Public Enemy was one of the most pro-black rap groups of the 80s, and they were always wearing red, black, and green. No more going back to Africa. Today's community is saying that those people aren't really black because they weren't brought over here as part of slavery. So they're not really black. They're not foundational black, American black. Let me set up another clip. There's a popular show on YouTube that my wife and I watch all the time. It's called Pop the Balloon. It's a dating show where a group of women get a chance to meet a few single men, and sometimes a group of men get a chance to meet a few single women, but they all hold their balloons until they feel that the person wouldn't be a fit for them, and then they'll pop their balloon, hence the name of the show. Well, lately, I've been noticing something about this show, a show that only features black people, mind you. I've been noticing that quite a few of the people who come on the show, they're colorists.
No, yeah, someone that's your type? No. Why not? He's just very bright.
She said she ain't like light
He's
skin
very
guys.
bright. He don't got bad face though. That's very bright.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pop my balloon. Well,
Yeah,
you seem chill. I like that you go to the gym, but you say you don't like light skins, and I feel like I'm kind of light skinned.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You're like a caramel skin. You're not as light as him. You like caramel.
So this woman, she says she doesn't like some of the guys on the show because they're too light-skinned. Now the guy who looks almost the same as the one that she rejected, he's worried because he's like, well, I look just like him. And she says, no, you're kind of caramel. Let's watch the next one.
My name is Christavian. I'm 24. You're actually very beautiful, by the way, and you got a nice body. You may have some melanin in you because of hair, but I need someone that I could, like, darker complexion, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, they're very beautiful. That's was the only reason I popped.
Okay, so she's too light-skinned.
Too light.
Period, I understand. Okay, all right. And now, is he your type? Absolutely not? Why not? Speak your mind. What's going on? What?
The physical attraction's not there.
Okay.
Preference.
Yeah. And is it the height? Is it like what is it about him?
Face. Yes. The face.
The face. Oh, okay. All right.
Seems very nice though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's it? No, that's it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's go on to our next guy here. We can have your name, how old you are, and why you ended up popping your balloon.
I'm Isaac. I'm 27. I popped my balloon because I like my woman a little darker.
Okay. And now so far we've had two people say you too light skinned. Like, does that happen to you often? Really?
So you're on a show because I assume you've been having an issue finding a mate on your own, right? And you come out with, you're just a little too bright for me. I need you to be a little bit darker. This woman says she gets this all the time. What the hell am I witnessing here? Are blacks about to go back to the brown paper bag test? Is this what we're doing now? Am I even qualified to be discussing this topic today? Let me see. Am I black enough? Maybe not. Maybe I'm caramel or something. Let me know in the comments section if you think I'm dark enough to be doing this podcast today. This is the state of where black Democrats are today. They're going backwards. Africans are no longer black. And even if you are a foundational black American, I got to pull out this brown paper bag test because you're feeling insecure about my melanin level? Let's be clear, the narrative that we're united and in agreement, it may sound like it's good on paper, but if you're living this, you know this is absolutely not true. What about the implication that what one of us have, we all have? Like Keisha Lansbottom's implied earlier? Yeah, that's a lie too. I don't know how many people have to go bankrupt before we stop buying into this communist nirvana that isn't true. Let's be real. MC Hammer filed bankruptcy because on some level he believed that because he was wealthy, he owed his entire community. Dame Dash is struggling for the exact same reason. I've watched his interviews where his own words really told on him. He can't seem to shake this "we're all one" BS. Recently, Glorilla's sister appeared on TMZ, and she flat out said that Glorilla is rich, and therefore she is obligated to give her sister money. I saw another video recently of a woman who was sad. Now, why is she sad? She's sad because she makes over $500,000 per year.
I'm talk about this because I don't think my sisters and nobody really understand me when I say it hurts to try to be my best self. Like I'm already, I've made over $500,000, and it already feels very fucking lonely because none of my family can do the things that I want to do. And then I'm giving people money to do stuff with me. I'm buying their flights and trips because I don't want to hear I don't have it. It gets very sad. I think about, dang, do I want to keep building my multi-million-dollar company? Because I don't want to be by myself in this.
This is such a real video. I can't tell you how real of an issue this is for blacks especially. She's realizing that nobody can eat at the places that she eats. No one can vacation at the places she vacations. No one can do the things that she does because she's in a different financial bracket, and she's wrestling with the internal thoughts bordering on sabotage because her own success makes her feel guilty. She's wrestling internally with this lie that we've been given that we have to somehow all be on the same level, and she's in danger of bringing herself down because she can't deal with the elevation. The black community complains about the wealth gap and poverty a lot, but Thomas Sowell has done extensive research that you can almost avoid poverty altogether by doing 3 simple things. 1, finish school. 2, get a full-time job. And 3, get married before you have children. Don't tell me that you're serious about solving the wealth gap and poverty if you're not driving home these 3 simple points into your child's head every day. Those 3 points should be posted on your child's wall in their bedroom. When it comes to our family dynamics, like the importance of marriage, our overall image in the public eye, these are a handful of serious issues that we're dangerously too quiet on and will not fight for to any serious degree. Republicans have offered time and time again school vouchers so that you can send your child to where you believe they'd be better educated. And Wakanda has voted no to education choice every single time. Why? Because Democrats are against school vouchers. Anything regarding political or economic freedom is put on the back burner because independence means you wouldn't have much of a need for government. This narrative popularized by Issa Rae that the black community is out here rooting for everybody black, it sounds great in theory, but it doesn't work that way in real life. There were a lot of people wearing t-shirts for something that was an outright lie. I remember when Chrisette Michele got invited to sing at Donald Trump's 2017 presidential inauguration. Do you remember Chrisette Michele? She's definitely black. She never was a household name, but she could have been on her way had she not made one critical misstep in the eyes of Wakanda. She was in Rick Ross's video, Aston Martin Music, and she had her own video called A Couple of Forevers that received about 60 million views. But in 2017, she sang at Donald Trump's presidential inauguration, and let's just say you probably don't know who she is anymore because Wakanda did not approve of her. Now, Chrisette was a Grammy Award-winning singer. She didn't lose her voice. She just lost her audience. So the rooting for everybody black thing, that's just a tagline. Another lie that I hear about is how the Democrat Party is supposedly the party for blacks because they do so much for blacks. Really? I guess we have a different definition of what helping means because I define helping as point me in the right direction and then get out of my way. I swear the answer could be right in front of us sometimes and we still wouldn't see it. Do you remember when King Randall was on Roland Martin show? For those of you who don't know who King Randall is, let me ask you a question. What were you doing at age 21? Hold that thought. I want you to listen to this kid's background. He did all of this before the age of 21.
Part of it. But you guys promote voting like it's just going to change like the systemic outlook of the black community. That's not where it's at. We have to get out and go do for self in our own communities.
So define do for self.
When I say do for self, you shared one of my tweets, my videos, and I was actually a big fan of yours, but you shared one of my tweets when I said black people need to stop begging the government and go and do for self out in our communities. You shared the video and called me an idiot. I didn't see anything idiotic about that statement at all.
So when you say do for self, like what? Explain that.
Okay, for example, here in Albany, Georgia, we complain about our school systems a lot. Many of our young men can't read. They have very horrible literacy rates. We don't have any rehab programs here for juvenile offenders. What I decided to do, I started a program 2 years ago, decided to do for self, and I started taking children into my home. I started taking custody of kids from juvenile court, and I started molding them and training them and teaching them skilled trades, etc. Now I'm 21 years old. I just purchased a school here in Albany, Georgia to combat us being in the government-funded schools that are not teaching our children what they need to learn. So that's what I mean by do for self, simply getting up and going out and do it.
So
I beat the stereotype that I'm young, black, in America, and I can't do anything because somebody's holding me down. Absolutely not.
So a question.
Teenagers went and, go ahead, me and some teenagers went and bought a school, and we just bought a school bus simply from going out and doing work. We decided to go fix our own communities. I'm not expecting anything from no politician. I'm not expecting nothing from Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or nobody. We're going to go do it for ourselves, and that's what I believe we need to be doing. I can vote, sure, but nothing's going to change in our community.
So you went to the juvenile court system. Is that not government?
Absolutely.
So when you say purchased a school, and this school is going to be what? Private school, charter school? What kind of school is it going to be?
No, it will be independently owned. This will not be funded by the government.
No, that's why I asked you. So it's going to be a private school?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a boarding school.
A boarding school. And then for the folks to be able to afford to send their kids to the boarding school, what kind of mechanisms are they using in Georgia? Their own funds? Are they using school vouchers? What are they using?
I can't hear you. Say that again for me.
I said, what mechanism are they using to send their kids there to pay for the school? Their own money, or are they utilizing vouchers from the Georgia government?
Absolutely. So for our school, we're financed completely by donors. We have many donors that have given yearly endowments to our school that will be able to pay for these students to come to our school for free. Many people believe in our mission, and we're making sure that young black men, where we live, where we don't have any rehab programs for juvenile offenders to even get out of jail and stay out of jail, we have people that believe in our mission that are trying to send children to the Extra Boys for free. We have many people that are trying to send kids to this boarding school to be able to take care of themselves. That's what I mean by doing for self. We got to simply get up and do it.
So you don't believe that government policymakers play any role whatsoever in being able to impact the lives of black boys and others in Georgia?
If we take them out of that government system, we don't have to worry about that. I keep saying.
How is that?
I'm sorry you had to sit through that. I just wanted you to see exactly what I'm talking about. A young kid who joined the military, learned a trade, took children into his home, mentored them, formed a coalition so that people could buy a school with him, and he raised money to run the school, all without charging you a dime. And Roland Martin called him an idiot. If you can't see what's going on, you are blind. Roland Martin is practically a Democrat mouthpiece. If you can't tell, Roland's real problem with Randall is Democrats think government is the solution to almost everything. That's why he's calling this kid an idiot. He can't even be mature enough to give the kid a round of applause and say congratulations, some sort of encouragement for what he's done in this community. All Roland has for him is what an idiot this kid is for thinking that he could somehow get together with other citizens voluntarily without the need for politicians. Roland can't stand that. And Democrats can't either. I don't know if you're noticing, but there's a running theme starting to develop with everything that I'm covering today. If you don't pick up on it, don't worry, I'll make it very clear later. But this isn't coincidental with Roland Martin. Barack Obama effectively made the exact same speech that Roland was trying to get across to King Randall. Do you remember the speech from Barack Obama? This was the first time I'd ever seen a U.S. president tell American entrepreneurs and business owners that they weren't really all that smart. You shouldn't really be proud of your achievements. You didn't really do anything without the government, Barack Obama says. Have you noticed the same theme yet? I've said this explicitly many times on my channel before, but Democrats are the party of socialism, communism, and government control. Republicans are more so the party of individualism and personal responsibility. You see it clearly in the conversation between Roland Martin and King Randall. Roland is so frustrated because he can't get King to see that he needs government. And King is so frustrated because he can't get Roland to see that he refuses to sit around and wait for government to provide things that he can clearly do for himself. I'm pointing this out so you can notice certain things about why the so-called black community doesn't add up. It's because if you are a communist, it is very easy to hijack communities. They're very similar. The words communism and community both share a Latin root, communist, C-O-M-M-U-N-I-S, meaning shared or belonging to all. I'm not saying all communities are bad. Listen to me closely. A church is a community. A neighborhood is a community. Organizations that you join because of some hobby or special interest of yours are all examples of communities. But the key is that the communities are voluntary. They're flexible. You can come and go as you please. They allow for your individuality in the group. Communism, not so much. Communities invite you to belong. Communism requires you to conform. Godfrey is a comedian who does great impressions, but when he's off stage, he's not so funny. Here's Godfrey saying something that he thinks sounds intelligent, but it's not. All it does is it proves my point about the black community. Listen closely to the analogy that Godfrey uses when criticizing Stephen A. Smith.
Crazy, man. You know why you're looking crazy, Stephen A. Smith? You'd actually be a good politician if you liked black people. Yes, I said it. You just seem like you don't like black people. Just from your rhetoric, you just seem like you don't. You do and you don't. You know what I mean? You walk that line. You know, the Jason Whitlocks, you, Candace Owens. You do this black thing. You're like in the parameter of blackness, but it's not. You don't stay still. You feel me? I have this thing called defective Negroes. You're reminding me of a defective Negro. You know, in assembly lines when they're making a product, maybe they're making an action figure, and there's always a couple of defective action figures. They all look the same, but there's a couple that are defective. One arm is a little shorter than the other. That's what you guys are. That's what you are, Stephen A. Smith. You're a defective Negro, man.
Did I nail it with this video? Godfrey just told on himself and every other black person who agreed with that analogy. Listen to Godfrey's words. What the hell do you mean, stay still? Who are you talking to? Who do you even think you are to tell a grown man to stay still? Do you think you're talking to a child? Stephen A. Smith and conservatives you're talking about, they are adults. You're not making any sense. You told on yourself right there. You said the quiet part out loud. Many in the black community want everyone to be like black robots that just rolled off an assembly line. You want us to be all the same. You want us all with the same script. That's not humanity that you're describing, Godfrey. It's conformity. It's communism that you're describing. In Godfrey's world, thinking for yourself is defective. It can't just be that we disagree. No. In Godfrey's world, there's something wrong with you. This is how you know the black community has been hijacked by the Democrat Party. It's because of the things that we won't fight for, but we should. We should fight to stop the dysfunctional crime that has us with higher than average homicide rates. We should fight to stop the dysfunction that has us celebrating academic ignorance. We should fight against the dysfunction of not caring about our personal appearance in public. We should fight against this dysfunction that has us normalizing this phrase baby daddy, but not the phrase husband. We don't fight for those things that are clearly existential threats to our well-being. No, we fight for things that help the Democrat Party or things that are so trivial that you wonder why it was even on our radar. The largest protest you've ever seen in your lifetime was done in your name, and it didn't even benefit you. It lined the pockets of some Marxists, and it provided optics for the Democrat Party come election time because Trump was in office. I remember a lot of people with their BLM t-shirts, and I remember when Hulu even had a Black Lives Matter section on their app, but the so-called black community fought for this like pawns and got nothing. The so-called black community has this perception that Democrats are out there standing up for their blackness. It's all fake. Do you remember when Barack Obama had this big thing, this meeting where he was chastising black men about not voting for Kamala Harris? If you're a conservative, you knew this was a psyop. You knew darn well that Obama just lied. You knew he didn't care about a person looking like you or going through your experiences. He just wanted to tug on your black heartstrings so that you could vote for Kamala Harris. But if you doubted that conservatives were correct, all you had to do was wait. Barack Obama had the opportunity to show you just how pro-black he was again when Winsome Earl Sears ran for governor of Georgia. I mean, it wasn't that long ago he was trying to tell the brothers how important it was to support someone who had the same experiences as you and looked like you. What did Barack Obama have to say when a white woman was the Democrat and the black woman was a Republican?
Now listen, Abigail doesn't go around bragging about herself all the time, talking about how I'm great. But she's great.
That's what I thought. Barack Obama was playing the black community and is pretty doggone desperate. It just proves my point that the black community is called upon for things that can help move the Democrat Party forward, but really has no benefit to the black community at all. The only time you really see the so-called black community really getting energized is when it either helps the Democrat Party or it's for something that is so meaningless like barbecue. Over 50% homicide rate? No. Black community isn't interested in that. 70% of black boys can't read at a standardized testing level? No. Not interested in that. But if we think that a white man stole a brother's trademark over some barbecue, oh, you'll see it all over the media. I can't tell you the amount of support that I've seen online for Walter Johnson. Walter is a man who used to work at this place called Destination Smokehouse in California. He made these viral videos showing how tender the meat was at the restaurant, and it made customers go crazy to find this place. But when the people found the place, they were shocked to know that Walter Johnson didn't own the restaurant. It was owned by someone white, and that's when the problem started. I'm not going to go through the entire story. All you need to know is that black people got upset. Walter Johnson no longer works there. A lot of blacks boycotted the restaurant. All of these celebrities came out supporting him. He's been on the Sherry Shepherd show. Someone launched a GoFundMe for Walter Johnson. They've set a goal for $120,000, and so far they've raised $106,000 of it. Look at some of the donations that he received. $6,000, $1,000 over a dispute about barbecue. I can't stress enough that all of this attention is to help one man get a barbecue joint. This is the reason why Democrat politicians don't take the black community seriously. They play in your faces because you allow them to. That's why people like Tom Steyer can get on stage dancing with a rapper like an idiot and no one bats an eye. It's why Hillary Clinton feels comfortable telling you that she's got hot sauce in her bag. Why Kamala Harris can tell you that she washes collard greens in her bathtub. And why Jasmine Crockett can be a highly educated woman but talk to you like she just stepped off the plantation, because the so-called black community allows this stereotypic assembly line view of the black community to be promoted, like we're all the same. So don't spend any time getting to know us. Then when someone treats you like you're all the same, you get mad. You're doing it to yourself. Stop embracing this stupid assembly line view of yourself. Decide what you're going to be. If you're going to say the black community is diverse, then stand on that 10 toes down, as they're saying right now, and recognize that we're all individuals, and stop contradicting yourself on how diverse you are until you meet someone who's a conservative that disagrees with you. My biggest challenge in making this show wasn't getting the courage to make the show. This is something that I talk about all the time, just offline. My biggest challenge was knowing how to end it, because I kept seeing so much content every day that I wanted to add, because it proved my point about how toxic the so-called community is. Literally, while I was filming this show, Chili from TLC was being boycotted. Boycotted because of who she voted for. Someone literally made an obituary showing Chili was dead to them over how she voted. The exact same week, black folks are dragging Nick Cannon because he said that the Democrat Party was the party of the KKK. When you step out of line, you'll find out really quickly there's a big difference between communists and individuals. With communists, there's no room for you being you. I work around a good mix of people. We all have great relationships with each other. A couple of months ago, I asked some of my white colleagues a question. I asked them, is there such thing as a white card? They looked at me like they were expecting me to explain more. What do you mean, they said. I said, in the black community, we have this thing that we call a black card. I asked another coworker who's Latino if there's such thing as a Latino card. She said yes, without hesitation. She says yes, but it dawned on me that I never asked if there was such thing as a white card. They still look confused. What is that? They asked. I asked them, do white people have a social construct where if you don't do certain things, you can get kicked out of being white? They laughed. And I spent perhaps the next 2 minutes trying to explain to them this phenomenon called a black card. I haven't polled all of America, of course, but I found it very interesting that seemingly only minorities have created this social construct where it's demanded of all of us to be the same. White people don't seem to carry this conflict, at least the ones I spoke to. They do what they want. Very interesting. I really only scratched the surface with this topic because underlying this topic is the deeper issue of humanity's evolution and this war between tribes and individualism. That will be considered part 2 of this discussion. If you'd like me to make a show on that, just drop a line in the comments section. If enough of you say yes, I'll put it together. In summary, though, the reason I almost started to say that there's no such thing as the black community is because the black community appears to be fake, like an illusion. It's as real as Wakanda, which is why I started referring to this so-called community as Wakanda. We covered a lot today, but what I proved today is the implication about the black community is that there's just one, when the truth is there's more than one. The implication is that we're united and in agreement, when the truth is we're quite divided. Some of us wish racism of all types would just die, while others seem to be hell-bent on keeping it alive through black supremacy. Some of us see everyone who looks black as black, while others, well, they need to check your ancestry. They want to know just how long you've lived here. Some black people are fine with a mate who's black, while others, just being black isn't enough. They need to pull out a brown paper bag to see if you're a certain shade of black. The implication is that we're all rooting for everybody black, when the truth of the matter is, some of us want to know who you're voting for first. They may not want to root for you. In fact, we may want to do everything we can to destroy you. The implication is what affects one of us affects all of us, until you start pointing out very important things like academic test scores, homicide rates, then you'll realize the truth. The truth is the black community as it's currently being utilized is a manipulation tactic. It's an extension of the Democrat Party. A threat, be it real or imagined, is still real to some. Humanity is wired for group acceptance. Democrats know this. People fear losing a sense of belonging to something. So the threat of losing their black card, even though we all know there is no black card, is still real enough to influence your behavior. It's still real enough to shape your identity. It's still real enough to make you conform to what they want. That's why I created this thumbnail in a very bold way. I have no idea if I ever had a black card, metaphorically speaking, of course, but if I ever did indeed have a black card, and somehow through thinking for myself I had lost it, I want to go on record today to let whoever found my black card know you can keep it. I know what you're thinking. Isn't this the same ice we've always had? Absolutely not. Trump ice is colder than Clinton's ice. It's colder than Obama's. This is that cold, I don't care how long you've been living here, I'm still deporting your ass ice. Trump ice is cold.